Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Cloud, and welcome to my personal VOD reviews of Locals. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Game 1 of Week 1 for the OP12 Meta, where I played Green Yellow Yamato versus Red Green Smoker. Here's the deck list that I played in this match, and if you haven't already done so, please go check out the Locals retro video I made that covers this deck list and my overall thoughts on how Locals went this week. Without further ado, let's hop into the game. Game number 1 for Week 1 of the OP12 Meta, I'm playing Green Yellow Yamato versus Red Green Smoker. Before I talk about this game though, I really quickly just want to say I'm sorry about the video recording for this game. I was trying to do something different with my camera setup, but after playing through this game, I found it to be very inconvenient and uncomfortable. So you're going to see me bump into my camera a few times and even fidget around with the camera angle, which is going to be a little jarring, so really sorry about that in advance. Now, to talk about this matchup, I think this is going to be a very tough game. Contrary to a lot of the tier lists I've seen online, I actually think that Red Green Smoker is really well positioned going into the OP12 meta. They gained a lot of new cards that help it protect its characters better and also help it restand a lot more Dawn than before, so that's something I'm worried about. My opponent is just going to have a lot more resources to work with, which means they can probably establish a lot more characters or attack at higher powers than what I can. Now for my deck list, I am playing a very similar deck list to the last time I played Yamato back in OP11, but I did change out a few cards for some new OP12 cards to test how they feel. So the game plan is going to still be the same of trying to pressure my opponent's life with double attack, but it might be a little slower and in fact a little bit more defensive than what we're used to since I am trying out these new cards. Going into the dice roll, high roll as usual, I rolled a 2 and my opponent rolled an 8. So they get to pick turn order. And it looks like they're choosing to go first, so I will be going second, which I don't mind at all. I mentioned this in a few of my past videos, but I actually like going second with Yamato, with my deck list in particular, just because a lot of the cards in my deck are on the even curve, so that works out for me. Ooh, okay, taking a look at our initial opening hand here, we're starting off with 2 7-cost Hody Jones, a 4-cost Kikanojo, a 2-cost Tonoyasu, and a 5-cost Momonosuke. Let's do our counter check, and we only have 1k counter, and that's why you heard me a little shocked there. This is something we don't want to see right now. We are very low on defenses, which means that if we keep this hand, we're going to end up having to take a lot of our life early on just because we don't have the counter to defend out of these early hits. So I'm going to be at a lower life than I would like to be, and that's going to put me in a very uncomfortable position. So that's one reason why I'd mulligan this hand, but let's just go ahead and take a look at the rest of the cards in my hand because they actually aren't that bad. The 7-cost Hody Jones is really nice to have in hand because it is the finisher for my deck. Being able to establish an 8k rush body that allows me to rest 2 of my opponent's characters or Dawns are really important, so really happy to see that. Not quite sure though if I need 2, so we're kind of losing out on one potential better card right now. The 4-cost Kikanojo is very nice to see in hand because it's probably the best mid-range card in my deck. It's a 6k attacking stat line, which is really nice, and it has a very annoying ability that says on KO, if my opponent is at 3 or less life, I get to heal 1 of my life. So really annoying card to deal with, so I'm glad I have it in hand. And actually, because of the fact I have very low counter in hand, this 5-cost Momonosuke is looking really nice as well. It's a 6k blocker that also allows me to heal 1 if I have another Land of Wano on board. So I'm actually really happy to see this because I can use this to try to recover some of my health and establish a blocker. But let's see if we end up keeping this hand or not. Looks like my opponent decided to keep their hand, so I wonder what they found. And it looks like we decided to mulligan. I think that's a fair choice because we only had 1k counter in hand. That's a little scary for a 4-life leader. And I also just want to find some better early proactive cards. Cards like the 1-cost Yamato, which will let me search the top deck for something I might be missing, but also act as an early attacker, or the 2-cost Izo, which allows me to give my leader Banish, which means I can go for some really early double attack Banish swings with my leader. So hopefully we find any of those. Oh, here we go with one of the camera adjustments here. I think that made it worse. Yeah, we can't see the bottom of my playmat, which means it's gonna be slightly hard to see my hand. Sorry about that. Got cut off there. But alright, let's see what we get for our final opening hand. Oh man, that's not it. Oh. Right. Okay, well, we've got 7-cost Hody Jones, 2 8-cost Mihawks, a 4-cost Kinemon, and a 1-cost Dead Man's Game. Let's do our counter check. We only have 2k counter in hand. Once again, only 1 card with counter in hand. That's really unfortunate. So looks like we're gonna have to take some early life in this match. I know we have Dead Man's Game in my hand, which is technically a 3k counter, but I have to leave a Dawn up for that, which I normally don't like doing in the early stages of the game, especially with a card like Dead Man's Game, which has a lot of value. So right now I'm considering it a dead card in terms of counter, and so we only have this 2k. That's not great. But looking at the cards themselves, it's not that bad. We've got the 7-cost Hody Jones, which means we know that we have our finisher for the game, so it's nice to have that there. And I'm actually really happy to see the 8-cost Mihawk. So this is a new card from OP12, so let's take a look at it. Dracula Mihawk is a green 8-cost AK power slash character with no counter, and has the Muggy Kingdom / the 7 Warlords of the Sea typing. His ability says blocker and on play, set up to 4 of your Dawn cards as active, then you cannot play character cards with a base cost of 7 or more during this turn. So this is one of the new, very powerful cards that came out in OP12. It allows me to establish an 8k blocker, which is really nice for, maintaining defenses, but also I get to restand 4 Dawn. That's really nice, so I can use that to maybe establish another character, or I can maybe just attach it to my leader and go for a 9k attack. So really happy to see this card in hand. We did hit 2 of them. I don't know if we need 2. This is kind of the same situation as my first initial opening hand with the 2 Hody Jones, but we'll see how that plays out. And in fact, the last card that we have in our hand that I'm actually really happy to see is the Dead Man's Game. It's got a really long name, so I'm either going to refer to it as Dead Man's Game or DMG, but this is a very powerful card, so let's take a look at it as well. Dead Man's Game is a green 1-cost event that says main, you may rest 3 of your Dawn cards, rest up to a total of 2 of your opponent's characters or Dawn cards, and counter, your leader gains plus 3k power during this battle. So it is essentially a Hody Jones effect for only 4 Dawn. So I'm really happy to see that because there might be occasions where I don't want to play Hody Jones to rest maybe 2 blockers, and this Dead Man's Games fills in that spot. Not to mention I get to rest 2 characters of any cost. So it doesn't matter if they're 8 costs, 10 costs, whatever, just really powerful for me to avoid some blockers. And at worst it is a 3k counter like I mentioned before. Okay, if I had to compare these 2 hands, I actually think the first hand I got might have been better. So if I go back a little bit to my first hand here, and let's take a look at that. Something I failed to realize during the game, but I'm only realizing now, is I actually had a better sequence with this first opening hand here. So yeah, let me shuffle it. So I did say that this hand wasn't great because we only have 1k counter, and to be fair, there are not too many proactive early game cards. Not that my other hand is any better, but I actually had a very good line of play here. Because I'm going second, I would have started off with 2 Dawn, which means I could have used that 2 Dawn to play out the Tonoyasu on turn 1. So let's just do that and mark it with a T. And then on turn 2, when I go up to 4 Dawn, I can use Tonoyasu's ability to give my leader plus 3k. So I'll put up Tonoyasu on screen if you don't remember what it does. But essentially, yeah, I can trash it to give my leader plus 3k. And then with my remaining 4 Dawn, I can use it to play out the Kikunojo I have in hand. So this means I would still have enough power to go for a high power attack on my first turn, 8k double attack here, while also establishing a 6k body, so that's actually pretty good. And if I go to my third turn here, 6 Dawn, I can put 1 Dawn on my leader to go for, whoops, did not mean to erase everything, but let's say we're at 6 Dawn now. I can put 1 Dawn on my leader and go for a 6k double attack, and then use the last 5 Dawn to actually play out the Momonosuke, because I would hopefully still have the Kikunojo on board. And by playing out the Momonosuke, I can heal the Kiku into life. Hopefully with the 8k swing and now the 6k swing, I was able to get my opponent down to 3 or less life, which means my Kikunojo's trigger ability would be online, and I would have healed 1 life, even though I don't have enough counter. Of course, I'd have to swing with Kiku first. Can't forget that. But you can see here, this play wouldn't have been that bad because I established some good bodies, I healed some life, established a blocker, while still maintaining some very good swings at my opponent. Comparing that to now my actual hand here, this one truly has no early game play. Oh, fist bump to start the game. We're just going to continue from here, but let's take a look at our hand. Yep. You can see here that all of my cards, the lowest one I have is this 1 cost Dead Man's Game, which I'm not going to use early on. So the next lowest card is 4 costs, which means I'm not going to be doing much in the early portions of the game, especially when this is a 2k counter. So I think I lost out on mulliganing here, but alright, we'll see how we do. My opponent starts things off. 1 Dawn, taps it to play the new 1 cost Perona from OP12. So while he's searching, because it is a searcher, I will read it. Perona is a green 1 cost 2k power special character with 1k counter, and has the Muggy Kingdom / Thriller Bark Pirates typing. Her ability says on play, if your leader has the slash attribute, look at the 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 slash attribute card or green event, and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. And so off of the Perona, my opponent found the 8 cost Mihawk. So very nice searcher that was included in OP12. A lot of the times you can even search out an event because you can search a green event as well. So it is a very powerful searcher. But looks like that's all my opponent is going to do. He's going to pass back to me. I'm going to draw for the turn. It is a 2 cost Hiyori, 2k counter, and I'm going to go up to 2 Dawn for the turn. Here, once again, is the problem. I don't have any proactive early game plays. I could use the Hiyori to maybe set up the Kinemon into life, but that's a little risky. I would have given up both my 2k counters, so I'm going to just have to pass here. My opponent draws for turn, restands their Dawn, and goes up to 3 for their Dawn phase. And let's see what they do. They're going to attach 1 Dawn to their leader and go 6k at my life with lead, which I do have a 2k counter for, so I give up the 2k counter to get out of that. And then my opponent's going to tap 2 Dawn and just play out a Koshiro, which is a blocker that is very good. So real quick, let's pause and read out the Koshiro. Koshiro is a green 2 cost 1k power slash character with 1k counter, and has the East Blue and Frost Moon Village typing. His effects says if you're a slash attribute character with a cost of 5 or less other than this character would be KO'd by your opponent's effect, you may rest this character instead. And it's also a blocker. And so this is one of the cards I was mentioning earlier in the video where I said that Red Green Smoker has a lot more protection. This card allows my opponent to protect all of their cost 5 or less characters from being KO'd. And so that's going to be really annoying to deal with. But turn passes back to me. Let's see what I drew. It was the 4-cost Kikunojo, another brick. Yikes. Okay, well, I'm at 4 Dawn now. I could play out the Kikunojo for 4, but that means I would only be swinging 5. They do have a blocker. So, but a 5k swing is usually easy to just counter out of. He would keep his blocker alive. And alright, it looks like we're gonna go 7k double attack to my opponent's life, which, yeah, they're gonna just give up the blocker to get out of that. And then with 2 Dawn left, I could play the Hiyori, and so, yeah, that's probably why I only did a 7k swing here. If they actually took that hit, I would have been able to use the Hiyori to set up my Kikunojo in life, so that's why I kept the 2 Dawn up. But since they didn't take it, I don't really have a use for the last 2 Dawn. I'm thinking about it. I did tap the 2, but yeah, we're not going to play out the Hiyori because I have no counter in hand. So, yep, just pass the turn. My opponent's going to refresh. Go up to 5 Dawn for their Dawn phase. And they're gonna go 5k at my life. My opponent did forget to draw for the turn. Okay, yeah, here we go. He did remember, I just let him do it because, yeah, he should have drawn. And then he's just gonna go 5k at my life, which I end up taking. Don't want to give up the 2k counter for that. And it's the 3-cost Izo 2k counter. My opponent's not gonna tap all 5 of their Dawn and play out the 5-cost Smoker. Very powerful card for my opponent. Now my opponent's going to use their leader ability to restand 2 Dawn, and then use the 5-cost Smoker's ability to restand 1 final Dawn, getting 3 back as active, then tap 3 Dawn to play out the 3-cost Tashigi. So already my opponent is establishing a very good board. And turn passes to me, I draw for turn. It's another 4-cost Kikunojo. My gosh, I'm drawing all of my bricks. Damn. Okay, but alright, I'm at 6 Dawn now. Let's see what I can do. My opponent has no blockers, so I can try to go in for a swing here. I have to get my opponent down to 3 or less life in order for my leader ability to be online, and for effects like my Kikunojo to be online. So it looks like we're going to start off with 2 Dawn on my leader, going 7k to my opponent's life. And my opponent's going to give up a 2k and another 2k, I believe, to get out of that. And so with 4 Dawn, I tap it to play out one of my Kikunojos. So, oops, 1 second here. This was actually a nice sequencing from me. I could have attached more Dawn onto my leader to go for a bigger swing. Let's say maybe, let's say an 8k, maybe 9k, because I could have 2 Dawn left over. That would have been a higher chance for me to take the 2 life, but I would only have 2 Dawn to work with, and I don't establish a character. The 2 Dawn I would have remaining, it was going to be for the Hiyori, to potentially play out the Hiyori, take my top or bottom life, and then set up a Kikunojo into my life. But I'm losing out on 2 Dawn, and if they end up countering out of this hit, then I would be unable to play a Kikunojo out. So I think this is a fine play. Leaving up the 4 Dawn means that I have the option of playing the Kikunojo, and if I end up taking, or if they end up taking the 7k attack, I can still do the Hiyori play of setting up my life while maintaining enough Dawn for the Dead Man's Game in my hand in order to have another potential counter. We're fine here, and yeah, we did take 2 2Ks out of my opponent's hand. Well, at least I'm pretty sure that's a 2K. Let me check. Because he pitched a Kinemon, which I know is a 2K for sure, but he also gave up a Chopper, I believe, which is a 2K, yes. So we at least took 2 2Ks out of my opponent's hand, which is nice. But that's going to be it for my turn. I don't have any Dawn up, and my opponent is now going to be at 7 Dawn. They're going to play the 1-cost Virgo and go searching. Did my opponent forget to draw for turn again? I'm pretty sure they did. Interesting, okay. Well, they're gonna take the Kinemon, 2-cost Kinemon. It's a 2K counter from the search. Six Dawn left up. Let's see what they choose to do with that. They're going to start off with a 5K swing to my life. Man, not having counter in my hand is really hurting me. I still only have... Oh, actually, I have 2 2Ks and Dead Man's Game. I cannot use Dead Man's Game, so it's just the 2 2Ks. But I end up just countering out of here because it is a lower swing, trying to maintain as much life as possible. My opponent is going to swing with Perona. It's not going to do anything. And then he's going to tap 5 Dawn to play out the 6-cost Secret Rare Bonnie. Let's take a look at this card, and actually... yeah, we'll pause it. So this is a very heads-up play from my opponent. The... where is it? Oh, sorry, not 6-cost, 5-cost Bonnie. So Jewelry Bonnie is a green 5-cost 6K power special character with 1K counter and has the Supernova and Bonnie Pirates typing. And her ability says blocker, and on play, if you have 8 or more rested cards, draw 2 cards and trash 1 from your hand, then set up to one of your Dawn cards as active. And so the reason why it was a heads up play is because they attacked with the Perona first just to rest it. 2 to 5 does nothing, so it's just going to be rested. They had 1 rested Dawn, and then they have their rested leader, so that's 3. And now by tapping 5 Dawn, they have a total of 8 rested cards on board, which means the 5-cost Bonnie effect is online. So they're going to be able to draw 2 cards and now trash 1. And then, of course, at the after that, they get to set 1 more Dawn as active. So they're actually going to go back up to 2 Dawn as active. And this is before they even use leader ability and smoker ability, so they're about to restand a lot of Dawn. Let's see what card they end up trashing. Yeah, it's also annoying that the Bonnie is also a blocker. So. And they end up trashing a Bonnie, okay. And they restand the Dawn. Now they're going to use leader ability. Oh, that's right. At the time, I thought that this card restood at the end of the turn. There's another Bonnie that does that, but this one restands immediately. Looks like he dropped a card there. No worries, mate. I will blur out your face for privacy. Yep, so he's going to restand 2 of his Dawn because of leader, and then restand 1 final Dawn thanks to the Smoker, 5-cost Smoker. So my opponent went from, what was that, 6 rested Dawn to now having 5 active Dawn. That's crazy. Now they're gonna, looks like, potentially use 4 of the Dawn. Six cards in hand from me. Ooh, they're not gonna play anything out. Okay, they're just gonna attach 4 Dawn to their Smoker and go 11k at my life, which I have to let go, and this Smoker has banished, so it goes straight to the trash. Unfortunate for me. It was a Kikunojo as well, but my opponent's not at 3 or less life, so it doesn't matter. Pass back to me, I draw for the turn. It is the 0 cost, you're the one who should disappear, and I'm now at 8 Dawn. So this is a very nice point because I really need to try to stabilize here. My opponent only has, I think it's 3 cards in hand? Yeah, they were at 3, they drew 2, trashed 1. Oh, so they have 4 cards in hand. 4 cards in hand. I'm gonna tap all 8 of my Dawn, and we're gonna play out the 8 cost Mihawk. And this is gonna let me restand for my Dawn. So now I have an 8 cost block, or 8k power blocker on board, which is really nice. And I have 4 Dawn to still work with. My opponent does still have a blocker, so I have to try to figure out how I can get around that. I do have Dead Man's Game, but that means I'd have to rest all 4 of my Dawn. And we're not going to do Dead Man's Game. Instead, we're just going to attach 2 Dawn to my leader and go 7k at my opponent's life. Oh, they actually only do have 3 cards in hand. Alright. And they are going to trash... They're going to block and then use the 2k counter to defend their Bonnie. Okay, so 7 to 8. Cancels out. We're going to put 1 Dawn on Kikunojo and attempt to go 7 to 7, which my opponent gives up another 2k counter. Alright, and then I'm going to pass the turn there, leaving 1 Dawn up, probably for Dead Man's Game, and pass to my opponent. So, in that final attack, I could have gone 7k to life, which might have been actually better. If I had gone 7 to life, they would have to give up the last 2 cards in hand in order to counter out, since we know that they have a 2k, which means that my opponent would have more likely just have taken their life, and that would have put them at 3 or less, and start enabling me to start using my leader ability and any triggers in my life as well. It also enables my Kikunojo, which is still inactive because my opponent is at 4 life. And so because it's rested, if my opponent attacks at my Kikunojo right now, I don't heal at all. So I think attacking 7 to 7 here was not a really good play. I can understand why I was doing that. The Smoker here is part of the reason why my opponent is restanding quite a few Dawn, but it also has Banish, and that Banish, like you saw the last turn, just got rid of my life, so I was just trying to get rid of that threat. But a 7 to 7 means they only need 1k counter to defend, whereas a 7 to 5 would have meant they needed 2 cards, so I probably should have just gone for life there. And at least then, if I did, and they're at 3 or less, and they KO the Kikunojo, I could potentially heal life. So that was, yeah, not a great attack. But back to my opponent, they're going to draw for turn and then go up to 9 Dawn. I at least have an 8k blocker on board, and I have Dead Man's Game for the 3k counter, now that I left 1 Dawn up. My opponent's just going to swing with Virgo and the Perona, guessing to have 2 rested characters. This is a sign that they might have another Bonnie in hand, because they're going to need 8 rested in order to draw. Six cards in hand still. So the attack I'm worrying about the most right now is the 7k power Smoker, since it has Banish. Losing out on more of my life is gonna be, or it's gonna make it really tough for me, so I gotta defend out of that attack for sure. But okay, my opponent's gonna start with a 6k attack with their Bonnie to my life. And I choose to give up the 2k counter to get out of that. Yeah, I am only at 2 life, so I gotta counter out of these low attacks as much as possible, since they still have 2 more attacks potentially. They're going to tap 8 Dawn, and they're gonna play out their own 8 cost Mihawk, which lets them restand 4 Dawn. And now you can see what I was talking about earlier with leader ability and the new cards from OP12. My opponent uses leader ability to restand 2 more Dawn. So they should be... And I think they haven't even used Smoker ability. Oh, they're double checking here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they have 8 rested. So their Bonnie does activate. So yeah, they tap 5 Dawn to play out the Bonnie. Draw 2, and now they have to trash 1. They're gonna trash the 4 cost Mulligan, leaving them with only 1 card in hand. And they use Smoker's ability to restand 1 Dawn, plus Bonnie's ability to restand another Dawn. And so real quick, I want to make sure that that math was right. They were at 9. Then they went down to 1 because of 8 cost Mihawk. Then they went up to 5 Dawn active because of Mihawk's ability to restand 4. Then leader ability is going to make them go up to 7. Then they're going to use 6 to play out the, use 5 to play out the Bonnie, which brings them down to 2. But because of the Bonnie's effect, they go back up to 3. And then from Smoker's ability, they go up to 4. So, damn, look at that sequence. How much Dawn was that? This was a 8. Let's see, 8. 8, 5. So was that 13? Yeah, 13 Dawn turn. Plus they still have 4 left to use. So essentially a 17 Dawn turn. Wow, that is crazy. That is really crazy. But my opponent is sequencing very well. They're gonna attach 3 Dawn to their leader and go 8k to my life. Whoops, where's my pen? Oh, 8k to Kikanojo. Okay, 8 to Kikanojo. This is where things hurt. My opponent is not at 3, 3 or more life, or 3 or less life. So my Kikanojo won't heal, and I'm debating whether do I save the Kikanojo or not. I only have Dead Man's Game. Oh, I also have the 0 cost event. I forgot about that. I do have the 0 cost event. So I could use that to defend the Kikanojo. I think I have to actually. Protecting the Kikanojo means I have another attacker on board, and with the board my opponent has, I need some characters to be able to, fight back on board. So yeah, we're gonna use the 0 cost event, trashing a Kikanojo to go +3 on the Kikanojo. And then they're gonna attach their final Dawn to Smoker. And I think that was... I want to say it was to life. Oh, it was to the Kikanojo. Okay, so they went 8 to the Kikanojo. I let it go. I probably should have defended that, actually. And I drew another Kikanojo? What is my luck right now? Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm at 10 Dawn. I drew a Kikanojo from my deck, but really quickly, I had Dead Man's Game there, so I could have defended the Kikanojo again, because they only went 8, so I could have plus 3k to make it 9. But with the blockers they have on board, right here and right here, I knew I needed a way to rest them. I could have used the Hody Jones I have in hand to rest these two, but that means I would be taking my own life, which is a little risky. So I think I was keeping the Dead Man's Game to leave myself an option to rest those two without having to take my own life. So that's why we did that. But we're not even gonna do that. We're just gonna tap 8 Dawn and play out another Mihawk. This lets me restand 4 Dawn, so now I have 6 Dawn to work with again. I see, yeah. By doing this, I still have enough Dawn to use Dead Man's Game, so I tap 1, to play it, and then tap 3 to rest 2 characters. So we're going to rest the Mihawk and the Bonnie. So now he is open. He has no cards in hand, or he has 1 card in hand. And so I know I definitely have to attack at my opponent's life. I'm worried that my opponent has another 2k in their hand. So it's like, do I attach these 2 Dawn to my leader and go for a 7k, or do I go for just the 5k? But oh, interestingly enough, I attach 1 Dawn to my Mihawk and go 9 at the Smoker, which they let go. And actually, I know why I did that. So if sorry, pause real quick. Actually, let's finish this sequence. I'll go 1 Dawn on my leader and go 6k on my opponent's life, which they take. No trigger and no trigger. That's great for me. Okay, so that attack sequence, you might have thought it was very interesting why I did it that way. I think I was worried about them potentially drawing more counter. So by attacking with the Mihawk first to get rid of the Smoker, they only have 1 card in hand, so a 9 to 7 pretty much guarantees that I kill the Smoker. If I had done it the other way, of potentially attaching more Dawn, actually let's just use the same number of Dawn here. If I did 6k here, they would have taken that potentially, and they would have 3 cards in hand. And so a 9k to 7 here would have been, or yeah, 9 to 7 here would have been a lot less impactful because they might have enough counter in hand. So by doing this, I was like, hey man, you only have 1 card. You can't defend the Smoker. Just trying to get that banish out of here. But on the flip side, I guess I shouldn't have been too worried about that, because by attacking with Yamato, my leader here, and going 6k, they would have taken it going down to 3 or less. I could use 2 of my rested Dawn to attach to my Mihawk anyways and go 10k. 10k would have been pretty hard for my opponent to counter out of, so 10 to 7. So I think, yeah, I think either way was fine. Actually, the way I did it, I did lose out on using 2 of my rested Dawn, so it could have been like a 7k attack with leader and then a 10k with Mihawk, or just a 6 and then 11k. Yeah, I shouldn't have been too worried about it. Sorry, I'm going back on my own words here. Pass back to my opponent. They are now at 4 cards in hand, and they are at 10 Dawn. They're going to start off by tapping 1 Dawn to play out the Perona to go searching. And they're going to find a 2-cost Koshiro. Alright, another blocker and protection. This is a really rough situation for me because my opponent has 3 blockers on board, and they potentially have another blocker coming down. Oh, you know what? Something worth noting is that actually it was not a 9 to 7, but I think a 9 to 8. I forgot that my opponent's leader gives all of my opponent's navy. Actually, let me just look up Smoker. Yeah, all of your navy and punk hazard type characters gain plus 1000 power during their turn. So it was actually a risky play that I did there. I should have gone the other way. I should have attacked with leader first, and then had more Dawn to use to attack at the Smoker. So, forgot about that. Which means I wasted that Kikunojo swing earlier. That was actually a 7 to 8. Whoops. I don't think my opponent or I caught that. Alright, my opponent's gonna tap 2 Dawn to play out the Koshiro. And then I believe he used leader ability to restand those 2 Dawn. Damn. This has been crazy how many Dawn he gets to restand. It feels like I'm playing against a purple deck with all the ramping. Alright. Attaching 1 Dawn to the Shigi and going 5k at my life. And I take it. It is the 2-cost 2k counter Hiyori. And looking at my hand there, I only have 2k counter after that hit. So yeah, I've got no counter to work with here. My opponent's gonna attach 2 Dawn to the leader and go 7k at my life. I decided to take that as well, and it's the 1-cost Dead Man's Game. Unfortunately, I don't have any Dawn up to use the 3k counter, so we are stuck there. Only 2k counter in hand, 1 blocker on board. My opponent's gonna attach 3 Dawn and go 9k with their Bonnie, one of their Bonnies, which I block and just let go. And now my opponent still has 2 attacks left. They're gonna attach their remaining Dawn on Mihawk and go 11k. And they got it. And I lost the match. Yeah, that was a rough one. They got to just restand a lot of Dawn like I predicted. But I also did make some, small misplays here and there. I already talked about my opening hand. Having that might have been better than my second hand. But going back to here, the Kikunojo attack at the Smoker, where was it? Whoops. Yeah, the Kikunojo attack at the Smoker here. This wasn't a good play. We both forgot that Smoker's actually an 8k because he countered out. So that was a waste of an attack. I should have just gone 7k to life. That would have, put them at 3 life at least, and I could have used my Dawn a lot better in the following turns. And the Kikunojo would have been online, so I would have healed a life. But then not only after that, looking at it now, the Hody Jones play might have actually been the better option. So if I go back here and look at my hand. So playing the... Actually... Yeah, I chose to play the 8-cost... Or the 8-cost Mihawk to establish another blocker. But I could have potentially used 7 Dawn to play out the Hody Jones to rest the Mihawk and the Bonnie. I would now have a 8k rush unit on board. I would have taken a life, which is a little unfortunate, but now I have a rush unit, right? And I could have maybe gone more at the board. So with my 3 Dawn, I could have just attached... Oh no, but this is a 7k. Well. Yeah, and my opponent was at 4 less, or 4 more life. Was at 4 life, excuse me there. I was gonna say I could use the Hody Jones to rush at a character, but I'm now realizing that, yeah, all of his Navy and Punk Hazard characters gain plus 1k during my turn, so this was actually an 8k. I would have had to use more Dawn on Hody to try to guarantee that attack, and my Yamato here wouldn't have really been able to attack anything else on the board. It could have potentially attacked one of the Bonnies, but that's like 7k to a 6k. I think they still had cards in hand, so they could have just countered out of that. Alright, so the Hody Jones play wasn't that great. The last thing that could have potentially happened is maybe just not attacking with the Mihawk. I would have had 2 blockers, but that means they would have had Smoker on board, so that would have been an 8k banish. Yeah, I definitely had to just get rid of that. Oh well, I think unfortunately there was not much I could do else in this game. I drew a lot of bricks. It was all the Kikunojos, and my opponent just played really well with how much Dawn they were restanding. So if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. Or yeah, if I missed anything or if I could have done anything better, just let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and GG's to my opponent. I will catch you guys in the next game. See ya. Until next time, remember, keep your minds fresh and your spirits free. See ya.